Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Yes? Okay, great. So thank you for joining us here today. And thank you for the IBEX organizer for putting together this panel discussion. Our topic of discussion today is how does AI, ML, and big data impact the business models in business? And we have a very eminent panel. You've just been introduced to them. And we look forward to their experience and insight in helping us to understand this topic. So to get started, when I started to think about emerging technologies over the last few years, I remember about 3 or 4 years ago, we had about 4 main technologies that were emerging and everybody was trying to leverage: social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. And I'm sure all of you remember the acronym SMAC, because that's what we leveraged. All of us were trying to figure out how we could use this to support our businesses and grow them. Every conference and seminar talked about these 4 technologies. But over the last 2 years, a lot of things have changed. There's a whole profusion of new emerging technologies. The keynote speakers today started to talk about RPA, which they've leveraged. And then you have got physical robots, you have blockchain, you have biometrics, IoT, and so many other technologies, and also AI, ML, and big data. So the question now is, which of these technologies are we going to leverage? Where are we going to invest and put our bets? We have to actually prioritize because there are so many of them. So if you start to think about, or if you start to ask people, which are the technologies which are likely to be a game changer in their industry, which one do you think sort of emerges on the top? Now, this was a question that Gartner, the analyst, also had, wanted to get a view on. And they did a survey of the board of directors of several different banks and financial institutions. And interestingly, the one technology, the one emerging technology that was identified to top all the list when asked which technology will likely be a game changer in your industry, they chose artificial intelligence, AI. And then they asked other constituents too. They asked the CIOs, who are the people who actually implement these technologies. They asked them the same question. And again, AI topped the list with something like 25 or 26% of the CIOs picking AI. So there seems to be a general consensus, a general intuition that AI is going to be the game changer for the business. You have to get on to this technology or be left behind. But the question is, how are you going to get there? And that seems to be a little bit more ambiguous, a little bit more cloudy from where we are sitting today as to how AI is going to become that game-changing technology for you. And that is what this panel is here to discuss and try to decipher. So I propose that we're going to talk about this topic in 3 different sections. First, very simply, we'll talk about what AI and ML is, and equally, what it is not. Because I do believe there's a little bit of confusion out there as to what this comprises. So I'm going to start with that set of questions. Then we'll go on to talking about, has it been leveraged? What are the organizations doing with AI and ML? And we'll try to talk about some good use cases. Let's start to see what is seeing the light of day in these technologies. So that's the second part of the discussion. And finally, we'll talk about the challenges in implementing this. There is a whole lot of data that you need for AI and ML. So how do we manage the data? What are the technical risks? What are the data privacy risks associated with it? So we'll kind of conclude with all of that. So now we'll get started. And I'm going to ask Bhaskar here, who's the technology guru on this panel from Intel, who spent the last 25 years implementing hardware and software. So tell us, Bhaskar, in your view, what is AI and machine language?
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? It's okay. So in a broader concept, artificial intelligence is a concept of machines working in a certain way. We call them smart machines. Okay? And machine language is a subset of it. Let me give you some examples. Artificial intelligence, smart devices, the immediate two examples I could talk about is autonomous cars, self-driving cars where you don't need driver. That is artificial intelligence. And even a few days before, RBI gave a permission of doing video KYC. Even that is artificial intelligence, right? The end result, ultimately we are in the era of user experience. That's what we should give it to customers. Smart in the sense could be pleasant user experience or reduction in time, both ways. ML is a subset of it. In a way, how a machine can access certain data as part of big data and self-learn itself to get to the result of artificial intelligence, just to put it simply, right? If a customer comes and stand in front of the video camera, how do you differentiate from Bhaskar and Aruna, right? So what features you look at it. So how do you get that data, trial and error? How do you learn, differentiate between gender or between objects is part of machine language, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Bhaskar. So now, I think it helps to sort of differentiate and say, what is AI not inclusive of? What does it not comprise of? And that helps us to understand it a little bit more. So I'm going to direct the next question to Biswas. And my question to you is, Biswas, business has used computers to automate business decisions for years. So why was that not referred to as AI? So what is AI not, given what Bhaskar says that what AI is?
Yeah, I think computers have been around for many years, and I think computing is now, I would say, it's like the start of a building block, so to speak. But by itself, a computer can only perform certain tasks. We all have seen that, and repetitive tasks it can perform reliably, can do all of that. I think where the real difference with AI comes in is where I think you are trying to make patterns, you're trying to match with different rules, and you're learning fairly adapting to new rules, and that's where the point of inflection between a computing and AI comes in. But then what AI can't do is oftentimes there has to be a boundary around what AI is supposed to do. I mean, let's we often think about we saw Eric's presentation in the morning where obviously the assistant is doing everything for the person, right? But there are boundaries to what AI can't do because certain cognitive decisions are best left to humans. Risk is an area which is evolving in the AI space. It's not fully, I would say, explored and perfected. So it does certain things very well. It identifies patterns, matching, more algorithmic kind of work. But I think still there is a point at which it falls apart in terms of taking risk-based decisions. Where a certain amount of human intelligence still plays a part. So I think that's the evolution of how I would say AI compared to what was basic computing. So I don't know if I answered the question, but that was my 2 cents.
Fine. Okay. So, that sort of drives me to the next one. You said AI is sort of like an algorithm that helps you kind of make a decision, right? So I'm going to ask this next question to two people in order to get a little different view of things. So I'm going to first ask, let me start with Bhaskar first. And then I'll go on to Kamaldeep with the same question. The question is, do you see AI ML in that case as a transparent algorithm which you can understand and then implement or use for your decisions? Or do you see it as a black box which will use all of these techniques and computational methods and tell you, here, now do this? So is it that black box or is it a clear algorithm? So I'd like to hear your view, Bhaskar, on it, and then I'll address the same question to Mr.
Before answering this question, can you take the liberty of add to what Biswas said?
Yeah, please do.
Why this was not called as AI and ML? We have been using computers to optimize business for many years, right? As a concept, AI been talked for more than 25 years. But the evolution of technology, the speed of processes, the bandwidth what we have 4G now, but we never had. Look at the speed of data what we are getting it, right? And I don't know how many of you realize the power of the mobile phone what we have in our hand. This is equivalent to a satellite which was launched a decade ago. That's the power we have in our hands. So technology advancements also made the concepts accelerate faster. That's why we are talking about AI and ML more, right? Coming to the second question which you asked, is it a transparent algorithm or it's a black box? For the end user, it's a black box. When I go and stand in front of a camera and say how it is going to image me, how it is going to store and process, I do not know. I just trust my bank and go and stand in front of them. But for the people who are developing the AI algorithm and developing the model, they always come up with a problem statement. I think they are the users. They can talk more about it. What is my problem statement or my customer's problem statement? Do they like to fill up a form? Or if I can automate something for them based on their profile, they're okay with that, right? So then the very clear set of input and what is desired output is very clearly defined by the business unit of theirs. Then they develop a model to come up with algorithm to fit in the input output. How do you get the accuracy of 99.9? So that way, there's a transparency available to the developer community.
Okay. So Kamaldeep, can you sort of add to it, or do you have a different view to it?
Right. Hello. No, I agree with what was said by Mr. Bhaskar, and it is the general belief that it is a black box. Otherwise, it would have been what computer used to be before AI and ML came into existence. When everything was rule-based, if there is any change required, the rule is changed and the output is changed accordingly. But that type of transparency probably is not available with AI ML. But now we are trying to fathom it out and bring that black box also to some extent to some transparency possible. And that's why, because this is not only on what the human decisions are being taken. What input is there and how, what output we get, that is all which end users see. But still, the type of analysis which it is, now the AI is doing, type of predictability, type of recommendation engine which it has, that makes it a slightly black box type of thing. But again, to have a better control over it, we have to keep on trying to shift it from a black box type of thing towards more and more transparent. And that's what I
Thank you. Thank you. So as you can see, a lot of viewpoints emerging on it. And it's not like a black and white thing, you know. It's not like saying, you know, a robotic process automation and everybody knows exactly kind of what that is going to do. So I'd like to sort of try to, there are 2-3 concepts that came out, and the way I kind of think about it and the way I summarize it across the different 2-3 different views is that AI seems to be a set of advanced analysis and computer techniques which can be used to assist decisions. It could be an algorithm which can be clearly understood and then used to forecast. For example, it could be an algorithm that a machine language can come up with, right? Which can help you to forecast whether you should give somebody a loan or not. So that can be one end of things. Or it could also be a more advanced form where you can actually allow the AI to give you a forecast model and continue to learn from it, which is what I heard Kamaldeep also saying, that it is a more advanced way and we allowed it to learn and then predict and take a decision on it, which is more a black box thing side of it. So to me, an AI or an ML is really a continuum. It is not one or the other. It could be an algorithm which is used to assist in your decisions, like credit decisioning, or it could be a black box where, for example, you have a voice bot which has learnt you know, different sort of, what shall I say, words or accents, and has learned from it and therefore fine-tunes itself. And if you ask me which one you will use, it will really depend upon, you know, how aggressive you want to be with it, how experienced you are, and how much you think you are an expert, and therefore you can actually go out and use it in a black box end, or do you really want to first limit your risk and you know, start it with sort of where you understand the algorithm and use it in your assists you in your forecast rather than actually taking the automated decision. So I think this lays the foundation for the rest of the conversation, where we start to now talk about how we are going to leverage it. So now going to that, I'd like to turn to Manish, and my question to you is, given that what we see what AI/ML is, do you think organizations are really beginning to significantly use and leverage AI/ML in their organization? Why or why not? And maybe you can start with that, and then we can go on to talk about how that's further leveraged.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I will put it this way. There are actually main three pillars of this AI and ML. The first is the computational power. The second is that access to the large data set. And third is the continuously improving complex and the dynamic algorithms. These are the three pillars of AI and ML. To leverage this, the organization should have the right information architecture, the right use case, the right ambience, the right actually buyout from the business. When you have all this, it is the right time that you can actually leverage this AI/ML platform. But unfortunately, majority of the organizations are not able to do this. The reason being is that the use case is not coming out properly. Unless and until you have a proper use case and which is clubbed with all these computational powers and right data set, because the data is one which majority of the organizations are suffering from. Unless you have a right data set, it will be difficult also to leverage this AI and ML. So I think that's the point from my side on that.
So in that case, Manish, have you done anything particular to sort of introduce or socialize this idea within your organization to help business heads start to think about it and say, yes, I want you to implement AI for me?
Right. So actually we started in a reverse way. We thought of that, let's dig out in the pain points, what are the things the organization is suffering from, and whether we can leverage this AI and ML to come out from this pain point. So that as all of us know that our bank, IDBI Bank, was suffering from majority of the non-performing assets. And with that, even the performance was not very good. So that was the most pain points of the organizations. What we did, we actually leveraged this software called early warning software. Now we had taken this software, and with the help of behavior, credit analysis, which we are doing, our bank is doing, it is taking the help of this early warning solution, which is all the data which is there in that. We are leveraging that particular software with the behavior, sentiment analysis, text analysis, and other cognitive capabilities of the things, and we are coming out with the result which is actually helping in credit analysis of the organizations, the network analysis, and also the predictive analysis, so that at least whatever we are doing in the credit part, that will be more decision, it is on intelligent decisions whether to actually sanction the company or whether to go for that and all this. So this is one of the pain point which we leveraged, which we addressed by leveraging this AI and ML through this solution. Second, what we are trying is that to go for this chatbot kind of things, because my customer complaints, which is mind-boggling. The increase of chatbot is a mind-boggling nowadays. I had a lot of expense on this to address this. So we started designing the chatbot to address at least these minimal questions which the customer is asking, simple questions. For that also my customer care has to be there, which can be easily addressed through these chatbots. This, I think we are doing it in a cloud initially, and we are getting the very successful result of that.
Thank you, Manish. So let me go back to Biswas and ask him as well. In IndusInd, have you done something towards, helping to socialize it and introduce AI into your organization? Any strategies that you use to make people think, okay, let me leverage it? And can you also possibly tell us what are the types of solutions that you're directing AI towards? Okay, let us know.
Yeah, before that, I mean, to your earlier point that you were mentioning about how organizations are adopting, I just wanted to
Yeah.
make a
Yeah.
a minute there. So, in fact, I was just talking to my team yesterday, before this panel discussion, and I was kind of collating some inputs. Now, we all heard the